See what this shit's about.
Hi guys, it's me again, and today I thought we'd talk a little bit about misinformation on the internet.
Ooh,
I thought
my
that,
favorite
I don't
subject.
know, now would be a good time. So, in the past 2 or 3 years, I don't know about you guys, but I have seen such a massive, dramatic 10x multiplier amount of videos on the internet that are either totally fucking fake, misleading, or anything else in between, sometimes even both. And I know I hear people sometimes say, oh, well, I don't see as many AI videos anymore. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you do.
wonder why. And so anyway, I think this is what's happened is that there is so much misinformation. There is so many people trying to mislead you, trying to cause you to think something that isn't true, trying to manufacture a false consensus. It's like the dead internet theory is almost reassuring because at least that means that nobody else would be harmed. But the reality is that there are a lot of people on the internet that are being let off a fucking cliff by an AI video that didn't even exist. And so what I think the really like the
What did
point
I
where I
miss?
think the biggest flashpoint for this for me has been the recent conflict in Iran is
Okay.
that everybody is making up bullshit about this. It's like I'll watch a video and I'll
And it's interesting too about that because I see a lot of videos that say one thing and then the other video says something else. But to be fair, I haven't really been keeping tabs on anything. I just stopped being on the internet. I feel so much better about life. Like I'm just not on the internet. I have no reason to be on it. Yeah, I post stuff from time to time and that works. But no, I'm not on there. I get off. I get off. I do shit around the house. So I have no idea what's going on. I'm just oblivious.
be like, oh, well, what's going on here? Is this happening? Nope, it was in 2021. Oh, is this happening? Nope,
Oh, you
that
know what? Another actually to add to this, there was that video that was going around recently. Not recently, but it was of a like a plane crash somewhere, and everyone was saying that it happened in Iran or some shit. But it was a plane crash from an airport in Philadelphia or some shit like that. It might not have been Philadelphia. I'd have to it has to be fact checked, but it basically it wasn't what people were saying, and a lot of people believe that shit. I didn't because I'm not an idiot. I like to research things.
was in Ukraine. Oh, but is this happening? Nope, that's actually not even fucking real. And then, oh, as a bonus, is this happening? It's actually Arma 3, the video game. And so, what I think has happened is that you've had so many of these different types of manipulations. And why are they happening? Why do we have all of these manipulations? Well, it's very simple. Behavior follows incentives. How many of these manipulations are not being paid? The overwhelming majority of them are being paid for this. So they're making money off of misleading people, and big
Clickbait.
surprise, you're upset that they're misleading people. Of course they are. They are following an incentive. And I think that that incentive is the strongest on Twitter. I know that they're trying
Oh
to
yeah, for
fix this,
sure.
but
For sure.
unfortunately, to the extent that you have basically like, this is what I think Twitter should do, because I think that
Throw him
AI
to the
and
fire.
fake information on Twitter is the absolute worst. I think it is the worst platform for fake information. And just because, again, it's
Yeah.
text message, image, and you can effectively turn off replies. There's a lot of ways that you can do it and like have people not really notice whether you're lying to them or not. What they need to do is they need to change it into something like the YouTube Partnerships program, where you
Oh
don't
yeah, you can't use
automatically
AI.
default somebody
Yeah.
a payment option. You don't automatically default somebody a revenue plan. They have to earn that and then have that given to them by going through a series of checks and rigor. Because whenever you don't have that, well, you have, the 900th different anti-Israel or anti-Iran account that's posting images of either Ukraine or Israel getting bombed, saying it's either Iran or Israel or the opposite, right?
This is really random, and I was just looking at his room. I it looks That's how my room used to look when I was a teenager. And I'm pretty sure he feels so comfortable right now.
And so basically that's what I think is really happening is that people are responding to incentives. They're seeing that basically making and pushing out fake information is something that has almost zero consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is
Because
also
nobody's
like
going to
you
do
gotta hold
anything.
yourselves
The worst
accountable
thing
for
they're going to
this.
do
And by
is
yourself, I'm
ban
talking
your
about
account.
myself as well. Is that really when we find out that somebody's posting something that's bullshit, instead of asking them to correct themselves, we just move past it. And I
Okay.
think it's one of the it's one of the
I do
unfortunate
that. I do
realities
that.
of the extremely fast 24-hour news cycle that we live in nowadays. Is that even things like, for example, do you remember when Obama kind of like said that there might be aliens on a podcast and like this was a huge big deal? Yeah, that was last month. That might as well have just not happened. Let's think about the time that Trump obviously released the Epstein files. How many people are talking about the Epstein files now? Substantially less than what they were. And you can check this all by Google Trends if you're unsure about any of this. And so what I think has happened is that the news cycles are so fast nowadays that there's
It's
never any room for, not only is there no room for corrections,
an
but there's
over
also no room even for accountability. And what's really
overeating,
happened is that people, instead of
overconsumption of
questioning what
news.
they're seeing, they just move on to the next thing. And so there's never any accountability whenever a news source gets something wrong, whenever they say
Yeah, so like imagine if let's go back to that story that I mentioned earlier. Let's say we went to that for an example, and it was the only news that came out. It was the only thing out for 24 hours. So many people would have seen it, and at least one of those people would have corrected them, been like, "Yo, this isn't real." But I did also look into the comments. People were correcting it. So, but that's if they have an option to comment and shit.
something that's inaccurate, there's never an
So yeah, I
evaluation as to
agree.
whether, was this done on purpose? Was it done out of just a mistake? Was it done out of haste? Why did this happen? And it's never discussed at all.
Hmm.
And I think this is a huge problem. And the reason why is because if you have people that are, again, past performance is an indicator of future performance. Guess what? If somebody is regularly posting bullshit, guess what they're going to post after that?
They're gonna post
Probably more
bullshit
bullshit. So what
the
happens
one
is
time
that
they get it
people
right.
are listening to this, they're paying attention to it, and then they see, oh my God, it's another piece of shit. It's another thing that's not even true. And people they're never able to connect the dots here. And so not only does the audience not hold them accountable, people don't really care. And this is another big issue. I've talked about this before. I don't want to get into it too much, but critical thinking is dead. Critical thinking
Absolutely.
is dead.
Absolutely. Critical thinking is fucking dead. I agree. I agree so fucking much. It is dead. It
And we
is
have killed it.
dead.
And the way that we have killed it is with dogmatic, ideological, thinking that effectively behaves like a religion. People have replaced, I don't know, Christianity or Islam with, the Democrats or the Republicans, with gender ideology, with any form of, political dogma. And so now people don't want to go against that political dogma. I think that human beings
Because they
have
don't want to be
a
crucified
core
on the internet.
desire. Like imagine the human mind is like a car, and the car can drive 200 fucking miles an hour. It can go super 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 fast, but the brake system sucks. And I think that's what's happened with the human mind, is that our ability to critically think, to perceive our realities, to be able to understand the world around us has vastly outpaced, multiple times outpaced our ability to cope with it, to cope with those conclusions.
Okay.
To ask yourself, well, what does happen after you die? Well, what does happen if you do this or that? Well, what is really the right and the fair thing to do? And people are afraid of these questions because they're afraid of the answers. And what they do instead of that is they look for an ideology
And they
that's
put a
going to
blanket on
answer
it.
all of those questions for them so they never have to think about it again. And that's what
This isn't for every group. This isn't for everybody, but those are outliers.
What's happened with critical thinking. Before, people used to outsource it to religion. Now they outsource it to politics, religion, or political dogma. And so what's happened is that you've had a massive entire ecosystem and culture of people that are terrified of saying the wrong thing. They're terrified of having the wrong opinion. They're terrified against going against the oftentimes manufactured consensus. And what happens is that you look at somebody like J.K. Rowling, for example, or even Elon Musk, for another example, or anybody else who's seen as a, like, I guess people would get mad. I don't want to name off a bunch of other content creators, just I don't want to start drama. But we all know content creators that, somebody said one thing that was wrong, they said one thing that was off color, or they didn't have the right opinion about the right topic in the right way at the right time, and for some reason, now they're a fucking Nazi. Well, guess what? Somebody's not a Nazi because they're not seeing your point of view. But unfortunately,
Bars.
on the internet, that's the way it works now.
Yep.
And so what's happened is that we've created a culture of fear, a culture of repressed critical thinking, because nobody wants to think for themselves. And
Oh my
how does this
fucking
relate
God.
to misinformation? Let
So
me
true.
explain. The reason how this relates to misinformation, like I hope that I've explained and you understand why critical thinking is dead. Critical thinking is dead is because people are afraid of the conclusions and they don't want to come out against the consensus, because if they do, they might get ostracized from their group and then nobody will like them. And then you can never wash that stain off because people.
And that's what we call, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are not advanced in critical thinking, it's called an echo chamber.
People do not believe in forgiveness. They don't believe in apologies. They don't believe in understanding. The hater economy on the internet is going stronger than ever. The Dow is at 50,000. The hater economy is at 50 million. So the fact is that people are terrified of having the wrong opinion, and critical thinking can sometimes lead you to the wrong opinion. Trust the science? Okay, well, I heard the science is two genders. Oh, wait a minute. That's not the right type of science. And so anyway, this happens quite often. So we'll go back over and we'll talk about misinformation. Does anybody actually want to correct the misinformation about something that everybody that's, quote, on their side is eating up like a bunch of fucking candy? No, absolutely not. Nobody wants to go and correct the information that shows Israel getting bombed 500 times and tell them, actually, this is from Independence Day. Or, well, this is from a video game. Or something else. Or this is from 2019. Or Iran or anything else.
And for this particular subject, like as far as like the war that's going on, putting out misinformation for that kind of stuff, that's completely like not the right thing to do, because you should just only be putting out real information. And the fact that people are putting out stuff and it's not real stuff, it's other things that people are just saying, oh, this happened here, and then like he said, oh, this is from a movie, it's from a video game, it's not even fucking real. That's bad, because it creates fear amongst people who are afraid of the whatever the outcome of the polar opposite of whatever their perspective is on this entire thing. And it also gives the other side to that coin the boisterous perspective of they can say outlandish shit or think they can do whatever the fuck they want. Um, that's it's happened so many times over the last, what, 30 something years, and that's just what I'm aware of. This shit's probably been going on for years, fucking centuries, probably. But critical thinking back in, for or at least the perspective of critical thinking that I'm under the impression of existed, was back when motherfuckers was getting literally crucified.
Or like, oh, the new supreme leader of the day has now been killed again. Well, I hear this every single day. The guy gets killed every day. It's the same guy, right? I mean, must pretty much suck. That's the worst version of Groundhog Day that I could imagine.
Nah, he's playing
Wake up
fucking
every
Elden
day,
Ring.
you're the supreme leader of Iran, and then you die, and then it happens again the day after. Sounds pretty fucking bad.
That'd
But
be an
according
actually
to
interesting
Twitter,
movie.
that's the world that we're in. So what I think
That
has
was a
happened
movie.
is that you've had
Source
so
code.
much misinformation, the information cycle, and this is one of the real pieces of, I think, genius that George Orwell had with, what is it, 1984,
Yes.
is that it was not necessarily that the news was all a lie. It was that there was so much misinformation and so much information in general that the deluge of it was so overwhelming that the mind of a person could not even comprehend the complexities, the amount of just pure volume of it, and everything. And because of that, it is effectively the sheer size of it has lulled people into a sense of effectively powerlessness. They can't overcome this. They can't like reason it out. They can't understand it. And so they just simply opt to not understand and to just listen to what they're told. And I think, again, this is out of, I said before, fear, but it's also out of apathy and a lack of control.
You know what I also
So
think though? I also think it's associated with people being constantly berated with information that's overstimulating for them, and literally they're being beaten into submission where they're just like, okay, and they're just going with the flow of things. It's possible. Some people, I don't know. I wish I could understand that because I'm a person who always likes to look into things, but I like to look into things because I'm a fucking nerd and I like to know what the fuck's behind most things. But I'm also not an idiot.
what's happened is that people are now accepting of misinformation. They don't
I'm
want to
not.
correct misinformation because people, as soon as somebody makes up their mind on something, well, they don't want to change their mind because changing your mind implies that you were wrong. Why would you ever want to admit that you were wrong? And I understand that,
Why
that's
not?
not the way you should think about it. That's nice. That's nice. Go
I
back
hate when
to
people
Reddit.
say that.
So if you go over to the real world,
That's not how you should
no,
think about
people
it.
don't like changing their
Shut up.
opinion. There's a reason why
Fuck
the
up.
concept of anchoring exists, especially with sales, but also you're selling an idea. So keep in mind that's the way people think of things. And so once you can create that first impression with misinformation, you can then use that first impression to create even a secondary, well, that was fake, but this secondary thing is also still kind of true. And I think this is what happens. And it begins a self-radicalization spiral.
I was gonna
And
say,
you
isn't
see
that
this
what that
happen with
is?
certain creators where as
Isn't that considered like the straw man argument?
soon as they start engaging with other forms of vitriolic, conspiratorial, or problematic content, they alienate the audience that was more, I don't know, normal. And instead of that, they replace them with the people that are crazy. And as that happens, guess what
I wouldn't say they're crazy, but I would say a lot of people only associate themselves with the people who agree with whatever it is they're putting out. And I get it. I completely get that. You want people to agree with you. Most people want people to agree with them. But that is exactly what an echo chamber is.
crazy people want? Crazy shit. Who would have guessed? And so then you now have to continue upping the ante. This happens with IRL streamers a lot, like nuisance streamers. The conclusion
Oh,
of
they're
every
fucking
nuisance
annoying.
streamer is jail.
They're fucking
That's the way it
annoying,
is.
man. They're
That's
so
how it
annoying.
is. Every single one of them, if you just let it progress naturally, they will end up in jail because you start being annoying, and
Or
then
even
you get
worse.
really annoying, then you're confrontational, then you're violent, then you're really violent, then you're in jail. Because you always have to keep upping the
Johnny
ante
Somali.
in order to maintain the attention of the audience. And I think that's what happened with a lot of different creators, and it's what will continue to happen as well, because it's basic human psychology. And I think that there are a lot of people out there who try to subvert this. They try to say that, oh, well, we need to be better. We need to be better. Listen, we were doing crucifixions 2,000 years ago. In 2,000 years from now, we'll probably still be doing them. Maybe we'll bring it back. And so the point is that the human mind is not evolving as fast as you think it is. And at the same time,
and you know what's interesting? I was thinking about that.
Psychological realities
Like, when's the next
are
evolution
not
for us?
despawning. They're not going away. They're actually becoming more entrenched and actually more, basically more compromised. They're being played to. They're being taken advantage of in a much higher ratio because now you have these companies that realize, well, wait a minute, if we can just feed this retard an endless amount of information about the thing that makes him the most angry, he won't be able to stop using our app. And so now you have these people whose blood pressure is being raised. It's like effectively these companies are killing people because their blood pressure goes up 20 points the moment they open the
Killing them is a bit of a stretch, but yeah, I get what he's saying.
fucking app, and they're sitting there getting angry, tapping out these little fucking responses, and they're arguing with either a Pakistani or a bot. Well, actually, that's not true. Probably both. And so what's happened is that the amount of misinformation on the internet has just increased so much. Places like Twitter pay people for uploading it. Places on the internet, like news websites, if enough people report on it and start talking about it, the news
It becomes
websites talk
credible.
about it, and sometimes they reinforce it. And there's never any due diligence. And if there is, it's like 2 weeks after the fact. It's like this story has already completely made its way around the globe, and now nobody's even talking about it. And they don't even think about the correction, because the narrative has already been established and it's already moved past that original
They
fake fact.
incubated. It
And so
incubated
what's
long
happened,
enough.
I think, is that we've created a culture of misinformation. Now, the way that I think you stop this and how you deal with it is you have
Throw
to
them
look
to
at
the flame.
incentives.
No.
Why do people push misinformation? They push misinformation, and again, I'm not talking about COVID or something like that. I'm talking about literal AI videos. I'm talking about videos that are posted as if they were today and it was 5 years ago. I have no problem with somebody posting a stupid opinion, but I do have a problem with people that are posting opinions and information that is deliberately misleading. And if those people are getting paid for it, then you can guarantee that you're going to have a lot more of it. Because I can also promise you that fake news will always be more exciting than real news. Because again, the sky's the limit. Fiction is generally much more exciting than nonfiction. I've never heard of a single dragon in real life. And so what's happened is that
Some
you've
people
had
think
these
there are,
things
though.
kind of evolve and grow out of control, and now there is an entire ecosystem of people that are consuming this fake information, and they're being rewarded for it. They're getting more of it. They're being paid for it, and then you have people that are building their careers around it. And how do you actually stop this from happening? Well, you have to stop giving them fucking money. And I think that needs to be the point
Why
where you
not?
look
Why
at it.
not?
Now,
Why take their
Twitter has been
money?
trying their best to stop
That's
this and shut it down, but
no.
I'll give it a
I'm
few
good on
weeks
that.
and we'll see what happens. Right now, it sure
I fucking made a new X account because one of my siblings sends me links and I can't look at them unless I have an account. And I I don't even know how long I was on there. I was on there for probably 3 minutes, and it was already a whole bunch of bullshit. It's just like, nah, I'm good. Get this off my screen. But what I should have been doing was, hey, why are you lying? Or something like that. I don't know. People are dumb.
seems like it's a pretty big problem. But my general opinion on this is that this problem will only continue to get worse, but there is a silver lining, and I will talk about the silver lining. The silver lining is the fact that if you're not a fucking idiot, it is a lot easier to understand things, and you have a tremendous advantage nowadays. And on top of that, everybody in the world is developing a general distrust of believing what they see. And I don't know if you've noticed this before, but every single image, even if it's something like, there's an image of, I don't know, like Pearl Harbor, and, you'll see 4 comments, "Oh, Grok, is this AI?" Well, you know what? It's retarded. Yes, it's retarded, but
They're
it's
skeptical now.
it's an investigation. It's a level of thinking. It's a level
Yeah.
of questioning that I think for such a long time hasn't happened. And the silver lining of this age of misinformation is that it's also going to lead forward to an age of skepticism. It's going to lead forward to people reflexively just believing that, this might not even be true. And I think that's very long overdue, because people for a very, very long time
We haven't had that in a
trusted the
very long
mainstream
time.
media. I think COVID really severed this.
Yeah.
But before that, and even now, to an extent, if they're saying the things that you agree with, people do trust the mainstream media. And I think the problem with trusting the mainstream media is that they don't necessarily lie, but they do misrepresent. And they misrepresent in a way that can effectively completely shift the feeling, the intent, the goal, or anything like that. They can shift it entirely. And I think that people would just accept that unquestioningly. And I think that one of the silver linings of the age of misinformation that we're entering into now is that is calling into question everything. It's calling into question all information,
Yeah,
all
but you know
sources,
what? That's
all
good.
like different,
That's
all
good.
primary information, all videos, all images. And I think that now that we've also created other secondary sources for people being able to, say, hey, this isn't true. Hey,
But you know what else is a problem? Is a lot of those sources used to find out whether or not something is real. Some of that stuff is also like can't be trusted. So it's really hard. You got to be like going through a lot of shit with a fine-tooth comb.
hey, this is not real, and being able to detect this, I do think that there will be a long term positive effect, but it will take a lot longer than you might imagine. But hopefully, the main thing that I really hope for is that
So,
they're able to get rid of the people getting paid for this stuff, right? I don't have a problem. I don't want to have people get banned,
hell
right? I don't
no.
want people to get banned. But if you're posting fake information and AI
You should
videos
be
and stuff like
spanked
that, and
with
you're presenting
reeds.
it as if it's real, well, then you've got a pretty big problem. And I think that it's pretty obvious to see how this is an issue. So, again, I don't want to see anybody get banned. I don't want to see anybody get censored. But I don't want to see those fuckers get paid either. And I think that's a big problem. And the more that you have these people getting paid, the more this issue will continue to grow. I wanted to talk about this because I think it's going to keep getting worse. But at a certain point, I think we are very close to the climax. And after that, I could see things beginning to improve, get better, and for the global internet awareness or the consciousness to have a much larger degree of skepticism, even with things that they believe. And that's what I hope for. And that, in my opinion, is the best thing that could come out of misinformation. But goddamn, is it a painful road. So anyway, I wanted to talk about this with you guys today. Thank you all very much for watching. I appreciate it. And let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
It's a good video. That is a really good video because I agree. Um, and I know a lot of people probably won't make it through the whole video without getting mad about something he said. But making it all the way through, the payoff was it's true. It's so fucking true. Nobody thinks for themselves anymore. Nobody questions anything. Everybody just consumes. But now people are so like is that true? Because even now, I've been doing it. I do it a lot now. I do it a lot more than I was doing it before. Because a lot of the stuff I never questioned it, but now I'm finding out the real information and sharing the real information with the people who share me the fake information. Not saying they maliciously or intently shared fake information, but that's the stuff that they were receiving or they believed and they were going to run with it and like that alter how they see things and that's the only place where I correct it is in my personal life. I don't really want to go back and forth with people on the internet because again, people are fucking psychos. People are chronically online. People's entire identity is the internet, and I don't have the time for that. I don't care. When I'm not doing this, I am not on the internet. I'm playing video games and working and spending time with my family. Other than that, minding my business. But yeah, also really random. Just wanted to point this out. I think it's interesting because I feel like Osmongold, if he did go bald, it would fit him. I think he could pull off the bald look, and that's not a shot at him. It's just he's always talking about being bald, or and people always saying he's bald, but even if he was, he could pull it off. He's got the face for it. All right, that was gay. Anyway, where are we at? What are we doing now?